Hey y'all, my name is DJ Robinson. I am the creator of the Plan for Keeps dating app built around compatibility games and video speed dating. And I like to talk about everything from attachment styles to childhood trauma that relates to dating. We are in the year of the horse, the year of one. If you take the year 2026 and add it up, 2 plus 2 plus 0 plus 6 equals 10. Then you add 1 plus 0, which equals 1. This number signifies new beginnings, leadership, and individual drive. Now, I know y'all didn't come here for a numerology lesson, but it's a new year, and depending on how you decide to move, you could make this a significant year for you. One with change, one where you're putting yourself first, one where you finally get over that situationship. I'm not going to hold you. I know these are tough to break, especially if you're a person who likes to see the good or potential in people and want to bring that out of them. You know, some of us will claim the sex is fire and a little razzle dazzle of toxicity is needed. Some may claim that the person they're tied to can't rely on anyone else, and you just feel like you gotta be the one to be there for them, even though the other person has fucked up ways. But then on the other hand, they show you a side no one else gets to see. And that's what keeps you sucked in, stuck right there with them. It makes you feel special. In their own twisted way, they show you are special. No one can handle their life, their chaos, the way that you do. No one can help them rise from their failures or mistakes like you can. No one can justify their thinking that love requires pain just as much as you do. Exchanging trauma and trauma bonding deeper and deeper. None of you addressing your abandonment wounds. Both of you swimming in a sea of your own insecurities that mirror each other. And even though you feel there is an issue, deep down inside, you've realized that you feel it's normal. You've normalized it. You've seen toxic relationships play out just like yours all the time. But to you, yours is different because your person, even through all the bullshit, makes you feel special. I speak from experience. And after years of dealing with situationships, I took my power back. I'm going to tell you a little bit about one of my situationships today and then give you some things that you want to help you move differently in 2026 to get away from your situationship. So here the story goes. So I met this guy on an already popular dating app. So I won't mention the name here because I'm growing my own dating app. It's called Playing for Keeps, built around compatibility games and video-based speed dating. Shameless plug. You should check it out. But anyway, I met this guy on the other dating app. I will call him Bookie Butt Child. I'm going to give you an overview of like how the first month and some change went, just to give you a gist of how fast things moved and not to go too deep and make this episode super long because this particular situationship lasted for years. So I'm going to go into as much detail as I can from when I first met him to give you an idea of just all the red flags from the beginning, but I just continued on. So I'm swiping through the app. I met a guy. We both liked each other on the app like right away and started messaging immediately. I wasn't working that day. So after we quickly FaceTimed each other just to verify we were who we said we were on the app, we decided to meet. My homegirl wasn't working that day either. So I asked if she would tag along since, he mentioned he had friends over the house. So I pick her up and we go drive into his apartment complex. And as we're driving, we enter into the apartment complex and I see two dudes walking with like grocery bags or whatever. And I'm like, is that him? I'm thinking that in my head. I think I even say it to her, like, I wonder if that's him. Cause it kind of looked like him. It was kind of dark. So I couldn't really tell. And I was like, well, I'm not going to call. I'm going to wait till I actually get to the apartment building to actually call. And, I call and it sounds like he's outside. And he's like, yeah, I'll be there in a minute. So him and the guy that we saw at the top of the complex is walking up. So, we assumed it was him. So we get out the car and we kind of, meet and then we go inside. And, we're all chilling, we're all hanging out. I'm the type of person who back then especially, I was really big on like what I did for a living um, how I was a recruiter and I assisted people with getting jobs and, just blah, blah, blah. I was very young when this happened, mind you. So it's just in my own way, this is what made me me. Like, I have this corporate type of job and, I can help other people get jobs. And through those conversations, I learned that at the time he was looking for work and he wasn't working. Talked about like, I talked about my aspirations. He brought up a couple of his. I'm thinking just to keep the conversation going along. My homegirl was, kind of talking to the other people that was there. The night it was cool overall. So we started hanging out on a regular basis because he wasn't working and then I had my job. But then after work, I had free time to just kind of hang out. So we would hang out. We hung out damn near every day, like for like the first month or so. Mind you, he just moved into this place and he did not have a Georgia ID. I live in Georgia. He was from another state. Something came up to where he wanted to rent a vehicle to pick up more furniture for this place he had moved into. And I can't remember if he asked me or if I just offered. Knowing me, I might have offered back then. I don't know. But I was like, oh, okay, well, I can help you. You got the money. I can rent it for you. Not thinking nothing of it or whatever. So I help him rent this vehicle and he's able to, go to the different various sites, I guess, to pick up furniture and, I guess go to the store, stuff like that. Rented the car for like a week and some change. And one of the days when he had the vehicle, we were supposed to meet back at his house. At the time he was supposed to be going to Walmart. And I get to his house and, I'm waiting in my car outside. I'm trying to get a hold of him and I can't reach him. So I just leave. After maybe about 45 minutes, I'm like, oh, fuck it, I'm just gonna leave. Hopefully he good. I'm just gonna leave. I go home and a few hours later, I get a call and I see his number pop up. And I answer. And the first thing he says, I'm getting arrested. And I'm like, oh shit. And then the police quickly takes the phone. And she was like, hey, is your name so and so? Asked me what my name was. And I'm like, yes. And she's like, hey, you need to come down to the Walmart at such and such, blah, blah, blah. I'm shaking like a leaf. I'm like, okay, I know I can't just sit here. I know I gotta go to this Walmart. So I'm driving to the Walmart and I'm scared out of my mind. When I pull up, there's police cars everywhere. I step out, you see him in handcuffs over there with about one police car. You see another homeboy in handcuffs with another police car. You see one homeboy who was also living there who was not in handcuffs. Later on, I found out they questioned him and they realized didn't know anything, had nothing to do with nothing, had his own money, had his own stuff. Anyway, so I walk up to where he is and this officer, and she's like, hey, do you know this guy? And I paused for a second because I'm like, is this a trick question? And I said, I know him as Rico. And she was like, you don't know his first name? You don't know his last name? I was like, his first name not Rico? And she was like, she took a deep breath and then realized I didn't know anything either. And she was like, you really need to start paying attention to the company that you keep, like, or really start learning to get to know something like that. She said, this was so long ago. And I was like, oh, okay. So she lets me go. They give me the keys to the rental or whatever. And then I'm asked to take the other homeboy back to the apartment because that's where he was staying. We were staying with him. And I agreed to take him back. So I take him back and he's explaining to me like he didn't know that. Okay, let me back up a little bit. I'm sorry. So I found out his real name from the officer. And then I also find out that he was being arrested for basically being a scammer. He had a whole bunch of different credit cards and debit cards that was not in his name. Like, so he was being arrested for that. Me and the homeboy who did not get in trouble, we're talking in the car because we didn't have any idea. Like, was referred to the guy that I was dating from another homeboy that they mutually knew that, he needed somewhere to stay. He was working and he could help pay rent or whatever. Anyway, so we get back to the apartment and another homeboy who was there with them but got away because he was with a girl he was talking to. He got away. was in the apartment ransacking the apartment, like just looking for things and throwing things in bags. I don't know if the state they came from, like, okay, once you get caught doing something like that, once they link an address to you, they swarm in the house. Like, I don't know. But he was ransacking and he had a grocery bag full of cards. And he gave them to me and was like, hey, you need to get rid of this. Now, this case has been closed, but I'm not going to go into detail about what I ended up doing. So we going to fast forward a little bit, okay? But I in shock, like, what? The next day, I'm like in a daze, like, what the is going on? You know what I'm saying? And I'm telling my sister about everything. And my sister was like, you need to let it go. You need to let it go. You got to let this go. Like, once he get out, if he reaches out to you and you still want to talk to him, then fine. But you need to let this go. And literally, as we're talking about it, so the first time we met, we were talking about like what I do, my jobs and my job and stuff as a recruiter. Him and his homeboy was looking for work. So I was like, hey, send me what's your email address? I'll shoot you an email. And when you're ready, you have an updated resume, send it to me. I can assist you in finding work. So that was the first day. Literally, fast forward the next day from him getting arrested, I'm sitting in my room talking about this with my sister. And she's telling me, girl, leave it alone. I get an email from his father from that email. Like, hey, my son is in trouble. Can you help? And I'm going to leave it right there. Okay. Cause that experience with that person is the ups and downs, the ebbs, the flows of all the things. I probably can do a Risa Tisa series for real. But that was the beginning of that situationship. And for me, I was a fixer in that situation. Like every time that person got into an issue or trouble or needed help, I was that person for them. And we never fully solidified anything because the whole relationship it was always something. So we never really sat down and really had that conversation. And how it ended it was so trifling, y'all. But I say all that to say when I spoke about, being in a situation and you feeling like, that person makes you feel special, it's because they have all this trauma. And I know in my situation, the person truly felt like in order for real love to be, there has to be some type of pain. Like this was verbally said like years down the line. Like you, as a person, as a woman, or even as a man in a relationship, you have to prove like yourself in some type of, you have some type of stamina, staying power. It shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. And because of my abandonment wounds of wanting to be resourceful so I wouldn't be easily discarded, he was able to reel me back in every time. Every time. So how I broke free from that, two things I had to come to realization of. The first thing is I'm the main character of my own story. And sometimes it's okay for you to be the villain in another person's story. So when I first met this person, I had no idea what I liked, who I really was. I honestly didn't feel like I was good enough I didn't feel like I was just good enough on my own. Like I didn't know that at the time, but I learned that with time. Like I didn't feel like I was good enough. You being there for one another no matter what, and sex was involved in a relationship. That's how the doors open. That's how you keep them. And that's just kind of what I consisted like all of my relationships on, especially that one. But I realized that I was constantly putting other people before me. And after a while, even though I was able to fix this and fix that and do this and do that, I made that my identity for a very long time. But then I realized I was sick of it because, helping somebody dig out of their own problems just for you to bury your own issues is what I learned I was doing. I wasn't living a full life that way. So I had to come to realization for that. Like I had to come to true realization that I was not happy. And I didn't cut it off cold turkey. It took a very long time. Like I said, it took several years. But with that, what I started to do, I started filling my life with different things. I started learning who Dominique was outside of people, outside of doing things for people and fixing things for people. And then another thing that I learned was that being a people pleaser is a form of control. Even if you're doing it just to get the person out of your face, even if you're doing it and you don't feel like you want anything in return, it's a form of control, because at the end of the day, you want to control the narrative that this person thinks of you. If you said a flat out no and they just decided to just leave you alone and not be bothered with you, you want to avoid that at all costs. So you just do whatever they want you to do. But at the end of the day, you're still controlling the narrative. And people pleasing is also in a way of you putting yourself on a pedestal. Because again, you don't feel like you're good enough to just stand on your own 2 feet and say no. I know for me, it's like, as I was trying to discover who I was, who am I or what will I be doing outside of this person? I buried myself so deep within this person, all of their issues. What would I be doing outside of that? But when I decided to just leave it alone and let that void just sit there and just leave space so energetically more things could come in that I liked and what I like to do, it helped me become more of a whole person and not a shell of a person, and just looking for other people to fill those gaps in for me that I didn't know that I could fill in myself, right? So those are a couple of things that I came to realization about, and that helped me propel myself to move forward past the situationship, knowing that I'm the main character in my story, in my life. And if I'm feeling anxiety, if somebody asks me for something or want me to do something or anything like that, and I feel any type of anxiety about it before giving an answer, I know that's my cue to say, no, I'm good. And then if they disappear or they keep pushing for an answer, that's my cue to know that that person just is not for me. That took time to build, but what helped me was the reminder that I am the main character in my story, and really locking into the fact that being a people pleaser or always saying yes when you want to say no is a form of control. And I feel like with most people pleasers, we're not trying to control anything. You know what I'm saying? So let's flip the narrative. And if you really want to say no, you say no. And then you fill your life with things you think you want to do. And if you don't know, you try different things. Try different things. I know for me, it was friends that I hadn't reached out to in a while and getting back in their presence. For me, it was starting to exercise and work out. For me, it's dancing. For me, it was just picking up things that made me feel good. You know what I'm saying? And there's so many things to do, like either online or in person, that you just have to take the initiative to do and try, and then just keep pushing forward. Without getting too deep into neuroscience today, I just wanted to touch on how to get over a situationship. Getting over a situationship is you putting you first and you realizing that we only have one life to live and that you are the main character in that life. And with you being the main character, you need to move and do the things that you want to do. You have to believe, if you want love and you want a healthy love that doesn't give you anxiety, that doesn't cheat, or that doesn't need, and all they do is take, you have to first believe that that's out there. And then once you believe that that's out there, you don't settle for anything less. You can have empathy for people. You can be there for people without it sucking the life out of you. I hope you guys found this video helpful. I hope that you take the numerology concept of 2026 being the year of one, the year of change, the year of new beginnings, the year of individual, just radical change. Like, you can do it. You can do it. And the first step is realizing that you are important and you are enough. You are enough. You don't need somebody to make you feel special and make you feel like you're enough, because you're just doing and catering to needs. Even if we can go down a rabbit hole on that, but I'm not going to hold y'all on that. Thank y'all for your time. Click subscribe if you enjoyed this episode, and we will be back next week. See y'all.